99.3 Nigeria for loving morning to you, Lagos. We appreciate you for being there all morning. We started this show at 6 a.m. and ever since then till this very moment, it's been really hot. Even me, I can feel the heat on the seat here. No thanks to what transpired last night, yesterday, and even what is going on right now in the country. Quite really interesting development we've got. We welcome you to another exciting edition of the Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one news, talk, and sports radio station. I'm Sheriff Quadry, and guess what, people? We have an interesting conversation as usual that will dissect the peculiar challenges that we face as a people in our dear country, Nigeria. Exactly. So, to be a part of today's show, which promises to be great, you could watch us live on Facebook and YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is what you need to search for on those platforms. You can also be a part of the program on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM is our handle on Twitter. That is at Nigeria Info FM. Please add hashtag Morning Crossfire. It's very important you do that. Hashtag Morning Crossfire. So be able to pick your message and read. Now, during the course of the show this morning, we'll be releasing the phone lines in a moment, but then you can put down the WhatsApp line. The WhatsApp line is 0809 597 5805. That is 0809 597 5805. Now, on today's Morning Crossfire, we shall be discussing peculiar issues, really interesting developments. First, we'll be looking at Armed Forces Remembrance Day. On the program this morning, we have our correspondent in Abuja who will be speaking to us later on the show. We'll also be looking at the declaration of Operation Amotekun, illegal by the federal government yesterday, and of course the sacking of Emeka Ayodele as governor of Imo State. That's the package, the 3-in-1 combo that we've got for you today on the Morning Crossfire. And to do justice to that, I have the brilliant minds in the studio that will be talking about this. Captain Aliyu Blade, an ex-military captain, an amphibious officer, joins us in the studio this morning. Captain Blade, good morning to you.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here.
Not amphibious.
Oh,
intelligence.
Intelligence.
There are two different specialities.
Fantastic.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. Fantastic. I can't be more excited by the word intelligence. It says it all. Achike Chude is here, a foremost rights activist, public affairs analyst as well. Achike, it's good to have you in the studio.
Always a pleasure.
And Rotimi Sankore, as always, is here with us in the studio this morning. Rotimi, thank you for staying back. It's always a pleasure to have you around. So let's have you know that we'll try as much as possible to be quick with this discussion because, as you can see, it's 3-in-1 that we want to have this morning. Let's start with Armed Forces Remembrance Day. And I'm going to start with you, Captain Blade. What is the import of Armed Forces Remembrance Day?
Well, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day is a day that has been set aside to actually honor and also remember those who fell in line of duty. Those who, in the course of carrying out their assignments as soldiers, lost their lives. So on this day, we remember them, and having remembered them, we also do one or two things that actually honor them, like laying of wreath, like symposiums, seminars, and what have you.
How does this help those that didn't fall during, in the line of duty? How does this help them? What is the impact of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day on them?
It's a two-way thing. For the living, those that did not fall in battle, you have two compartments: the veterans and those still in service. And what it does is it brings both together and strengthens the bond. Yes, it strengthens the bond. It's like every year it's an opportunity for us to come back and reaffirm that bond in a very sober atmosphere, if you like.
Achike, have we done enough to honor those who gave their lives, those who paid the same sacrifice? They have their families here in Nigeria. They have their loved ones here in Nigeria. Have we done enough to honor them? I know what is obtainable elsewhere, especially in America and the UK. Have we shown that we truly do care for them?
Even those that have been mandated with looking after the every component of this country. I'm talking about the political elites or the political leaders in this country. In their statements, every single time we have to mark the Armed Forces Remembrance Day,
right?
In their speeches, give credence to the fact that there is a general belief that the members of the armed forces have not been, given their dues. They have not been taken care of. I think the vice president recently, a few days ago, talked about the need to commit more money to the armed forces because there is so much that is lacking in terms of their welfare. There is no doubt, again, I keep on saying that our armed forces have done so well in this country, especially beyond the shores of Nigeria. They've had this reputation at a time of being among the best ground forces in the world when it comes to, prosecuting warfare. Their activities, in Lebanon under the aegis or platform of the United Nations, in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, and there's so many other places outside of the African continent and within the African continent, are indicative of what our armed forces have been able to do. Liberia, Sierra Leone, and other places, they have done exceedingly well. But unfortunately, it is accepted in general terms that they have not been taken care of. Even those that are still active, and we're not just talking about the dead.
Right.
Again, it goes even beyond the issue of how do you take care of the armed forces? The reality is that our country is not working so well. So if they have not been able to take care of the living, how have they been able to ensure that the memory of the dead are well preserved? We hear of the ongoing insurrection in the country,
right,
and how some of our troops have been treated. We've had instances where even governors of some of the northern states have openly come to say that Nigerian troops are not well armed, they are not well remunerated. We've had instances of allowances not being paid to them and all that. And so again, situations where, for instance, a soldier falls in the battlefield and then within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, his family is moved out of the barracks, into the cold reality of an uncertain world.
Right.
These are some of the things. And
sometimes without the full package,
of course, in most cases, and of course, we've heard of veterans, they are dying, pensioners, from the military dying while queuing for their pension benefits and the rest. And somebody told me, we might have issues with how America, for instance, engages with the world. But the reality is that if you see, I was talking to, a colonel once, and he was talking about how the average American citizen treats American soldiers.
Absolutely.
You just go into
Absolutely.
a supermarket, for instance, and they give you special discounts because they believe that you are laying your life down for your country. He even said that when they were on a United Nations peacekeeping force, they entered, peacekeeping operation.
Right.
They entered not wearing an American uniform. He entered a supermarket or a departmental store, very big place. The fact that he was wearing a military uniform told the people, in that supermarket who are Americans, that this man is laying down his life for his country. And they were able to give him special discount because they appreciated it. Believe me, we do not appreciate the living. So how can you even appreciate the dead?
Just a quick word though, Achike. While the situation for veterans is better in more developed countries, it's not excellent because
I agree.
The Veterans Association in many of those countries often complains that a lot of things are not well taken care of, like PTSD, post-traumatic stress,
right,
and so forth. So it is better than in Nigeria, but it's not 100% excellent.
Why do we get it wrong often, especially taking care of our veterans here in Nigeria?
The political elites, often selfish, mostly incompetent, they don't pay attention to those kind of issues, because on the one hand, they will be quick to mount national security and the need to, you can see what has happened over the last 10 years with different parties in power, where soldiers or police have had to complain that allowances have not been paid, they are not well kitted. You can see former military and Air Force chiefs facing trial for, diverting money that troops, could, resources that could have been used to better equip troops. Perhaps if everything had been done right, the battle against Boko Haram may have proceeded better. I don't think it can be won on a purely military basis because the demographics and the underdevelopment issues need to be dealt with. I mean, the population is growing so quickly there, they don't have enough schools.
Right.
But, those are demographic and underdevelopment issues. But nevertheless, the military aspect could have been better managed, better supported. As it just comes down to the political elite, not paying attention to detail what needs to be done. And it's not an APC matter. You see what happened under the PDP.
Right.
Lots of the military chiefs,
Right.
have either been convicted or are facing trial.
Captain Blake, we need to quickly go to Abuja, but would you like to respond to any of the issues raised so far?
Well, the issues are cogent and as glaring as day. We have challenges with what you can call post-service years for ex-servicemen. The beginning of that problem actually starts with a virtually skeletal career exit plan. Nobody plans for post-retirement until the day you get the letter in your hand, and that's too late. So these challenges are cogent. Sadly, the leaders they've turned the whole thing to a litany of woes and promises, if I could put it that way. You hear the same promises every year, and every year you hear the same woes. So you see that nothing is happening about anything.
Who is supposed to take care of that? The post-service here, is it the servicemen themselves while in service, or the army, the military?
The armed forces will take care of its own arm.
Okay.
5 years to your exit, you should have been told. 5 years to your... I wrote a career exit plan for a certain panel, but I think that one just died naturally. 5 years to exit, you should know. There's nothing wrong with telling you we're looking at you exiting in 5 years' time, and from there, we now put you on a plan. So that day doesn't come with a stroke, as some people were known to have had when they were giving letters one morning, backdating their retirements to like 3 months ago. That doesn't make sense.
Do you think our servicemen are being paid well?
Salaries, when I say salaries, people keep talking about salaries. It's not really about salaries. If you pay servicemen 1 million and do not per month, minimum wage, and do nothing about these problems, you are still going to find the same value.
We're still going to be back at the same spot.
The same value for performance is what you get, even if they were paid more.
Let's go to Abuja very quickly. Our correspondent, Goodness Anini, is there. Goodness, good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm awesome, thank God.
I understand you're at Eagle Square right now.
Yes, I am at Eagle Square.
What can you see? Tell us.
Wow, I'm actually seeing a lot. We have a lot of military presence around here. Obviously, it is for the armed forces. So the military men are actually present to, remember the fallen heroes, those who have died in the line of duty, in the line of duty. And we have so many security personnel here.
Right.
The security is actually tight. Everywhere is blocked at the moment because the program is expected to start at 10 a.m.
Right.
But before then, everywhere and everybody's getting set. The guards are on ground. They are about moving into the venue of the event right now because we are right beside them. And they're about moving into the venue of the event. And everything is just going on smoothly. The main thing here is that the security is really, really tight. A vehicular movement has been restricted to some areas around the Eagle Square.
You made mention that it's built to start by 10 a.m. Do we expect President Muhammadu Buhari to be there before 10 a.m.? Or
Yes, that is. We're expecting him at 10 because that is why the security situation here is kind of tight because the president, the service chiefs are all expected, the Inspector General of Police and other security agencies around the country are also expected at the venue. So we are expecting President Muhammad Buhari to be here at 10.
Fantastic. Goodness, thank you for speaking with us. We have to let you get back to the coverage of the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, which is about to start at the Eagle Square. Thank you for talking to us.
Welcome.
That's our correspondent, Goodness Anani, who joined us all the way from Abuja, Eagle Square to be precise. We'll be covering that particular event for you live. We'll bring you a report on that particular event on Nigeria Info here in Lagos as well as in Abuja. Let's take a quick break. When we return, we'll cross over to Operation Amotekun. Let's do Imo first. Let's do Imo. Let's go to Owerri because we have a broadcast journalist with Darling FM joining us right now in Imo. Join us again back in a moment as you have in the studio Captain Blade, Chikechude, and Rotimi Sankore. I am Sheriff Quadry.
We connect you to the world. We connect you to the vicinity. We are Nigeria Info.
Listen to me, I said this is a real situation and the government has to do something about it. What are you trying to insinuate? All these people looting Nigeria's money? You think...
This is Nigeria Info, in the heart of Nigeria. 99.3, we are Nigeria Info. Give your opinion on World Have Your Say. We connect you to the world. We connect you to the vicinity. We are Nigeria Info.
Listen to me, I said this is a real situation and the government has to do something about it. What are you trying to insinuate? All these people looting Nigeria's money? You think...
This is Nigeria Info, in the heart of Nigeria. 99.3, we are Nigeria Info.
.3 Nigeria Info. Yes, we're back in the studio right now. I've got Rotimi Sankore. Captain Ali Blade is also here, as well as Chikechude. Let's quickly go to Imo and talk about the event that happened. The Supreme Court's pronouncement of Senator Hope Uzodinma as the duly elected governor of the state. We have our colleague, broadcast journalist, Chidera Camille, who joins us live right now on the program. Chidera, good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, Sheriff. Good morning, Lagos.
How is the weather in Owerri? Tell us, please.
Well, the atmosphere in Owerri is a bit dry and a bit tense this morning. As at last night, Imo Light went to work with Emeka Ihedioha as their governor and, came back from work with Senator Hope Uzodinma as their governor. When we received the news yesterday, at about 6 p.m. or thereabouts, we went outside to just, look around and find out what exactly is happening. How are the people taking this information? We realized that most of the people, we actually sampled opinions yesterday.
Right.
And about 60% of the people we spoke to were not happy. 40% were excited, For them, this is actually, for the 40%, this is, the truth prevailing, right? And then for the 60%, they used some of these words to describe their mood. Some said very sad, others said they are mourning. A few others said moody, gloomy, sad, dead silence. It's almost like it was a really silent night in Owerri in Imo State last night. But then at about 10 p.m., we had fireworks. So that means if some people are sad, there are others who are also happy.
Celebrating, jubilating.
Yeah, celebrating, yes.
Indeed. What's the mood like this morning? Is there a presence of security personnel on the road, visibly present on the road? Were there disturbances in any part of the state yesterday following the pronouncement of Uzodinma as the duly elected governor? What exactly is happening today? What can you see on the road?
Okay, so last night, I got information that some boys in Abombise were angry, really angry, and almost ready to fight, but that did not happen. Yeah, so this morning there's security presence around even last night there was security presence around the government house.
Okay. Right.
And in the night there was a police van, that's beat traffic, beat traffic yesterday, and they decided to use the one way.
Okay.
So so it was a bit reckless. It felt like something was happening. When you're looking, you definitely know that something is happening or something is happening somewhere. This morning, it's a bit calm. Scanning through the radio stations this morning, there are radio stations where people are really excited, and there are a few radio stations where the majority of the callers are sad. It's more like, what is going to happen now? That is the question. What is going to happen now? What about all of the, work started already? It's 7 months in.
Right.
It was 7 months in for Governor Emeka Ihedioha. People were already settling in. You know what it feels like, settling in with this person, and then all of a sudden it's taken away from you. So you have to, get accustomed to the new person and what is going to come from it.
What are we getting from the camps of the PDP and the APC, specifically in Imo State? Have there been reactions from these camps?
Yes, there's been reactions, really, from some major handles on on social media now.
Right.
The APC members are very excited, and they feel, for them, they feel like something has come back to bite Governor Emeka Ihedioha, that this has been a long time coming.
Right.
And for some APC members, I do not want to incite, but I saw a post that said they were going to, one of the young persons said they were going to move around to tear down the flags of the PDP. And the PDP is they're still struck. They're still silent. They still can't believe. It's more like a film trick. That's what most people will call it. So they are hoping to wake up this morning and it's not, this news is not true.
Hoping to wish it away.
Yes, hoping to wish it away. So that is the situation here in the city of Owerri in Imo State. I got off the phone with someone just a few minutes ago who kept saying, "Camille, I can't believe this is true."
Right.
I spoke with someone from the ministry, one of the ministries yesterday, and she said she's willing to leave the country now.
Oh, wow. Because of the judgment?
Yes.
Oh.
She kept, we spoke for more than 25 minutes, and she kept saying, we suffered for 8 years, according to her, we suffered for 8 years. And for the first time, things were beginning to pick up in this particular ministry. We were doing things. There was a due process. And now this feels like this is going to take us back to 8 years. Because according to this woman, this is APC. And this is someone she feels is similar to the former governor of Imo State. I'm talking about Owele Rochas Okorocha, Senator Owele Rochas Okorocha. So
right.
For her, she's willing to leave the country now.
Indeed. Chidera Camille is a broadcast journalist with Darling FM. Thank you, Chidera, for talking to us this morning.
Thank you so much, Sharif, for having me.
It's always a pleasure. Let's go to break. When we return, we will be talking about the declaration of Operation Amotekun, an illegality by the federal government. Stay here on the Morning Crossfire. Captain Blade, Achike Chude, and Rotimi Sankore are still here with me in the studio. We'll be right back in a moment.
More talk, news, and sports after this.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info. This is Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info State. Thank you so much for staying tuned to the Morning Crossfire. This morning so far, we've been to Abuja, we've been to Imo State, where to be precise, and we're fully back in Lagos right now to talk about the declaration of Operation Amotekun as illegal by the federal government. A statement was released by the AGF yesterday declaring Amotekun as illegal. According to the AGF, it is unconstitutional and an exclusive preserve of the federal government to take charge of security and defense of the nation. It was a long statement, but thank you for staying tuned. I have with me in the studio here Rotimi Sankari, Achikechude, and Captain Aliyu Blade. Captain Aliyu Blade, let me start with you. Do you consider the declaration of Operation Amotekun as an illegal security outfit? Do you consider this as a step in the right direction? Let's start from there.
No, it's not. And to explain it in a way we can all connect with, let's look at security as a product, something that is produced and people consume. We all agree the demand is high. But what about supply? Is it optimal? No. So basically, what I see are two things. It's an ego war, and it's also an insecurity complex on the part of the center.
Can you break the ego war down? Let's begin with that one. How do you mean when you mention ego war?
The ego war comes from the fallout of these our shenanigans we call ethnicity, ethno-religious suspicions. You mentioned it, those things that always tend to obscure our sight and focus. Okay? The insecurity complex I talk about is there is this thing we seem to have carried over from the 30 years of military rule, which seems to see the federal government chest beating, grandstanding, and taking on so much on its plate, even where it has no business being there. It's like a father who will have to come and run a son's home for him when he gets married because he believes, I have been an older father than you. There are times you have to play the big brother, take the back seat, and pull the strings from there so that the younger components can learn and hone in certain skills. The security threat index on Nigeria is high. The first 15 days of 2020 was bedlam on my database.
Absolutely. I agree with you totally.
The federal government is there. They have a measure of what we call cognitive dissonance. Yes, you have a large fishing net to rein in all the criminals, but the criminals have since transmuted into tadpoles. So they are swimming right through your fishing net. But at the regional level, if governors can come into security initiatives, bilateral and multilateral, they are going to see them hone smaller fishing nets that can catch those tadpoles. The federal might's net cannot seem to contain because the net is too large.
Indeed. Achikechude, what's your thought when what came to your mind when you heard this declaration yesterday?
I wasn't exactly. I mean, if you have to look at the socio-political dynamics of this country, and then you have been looking at the political trajectory, historical trajectory of this country, things like this will not surprise you, really, when they do occur, because you already have an idea, you know. Because a prism has already been created within the socio-political reality of this country for you to, put this in context. Now, but you see, what is going to happen is that this action by the government, is going to engender other things within the polity that has been the mainstay of arguments we've had in this country for quite some time. I will tell you one. People might not realize the fact that it was Olusegun Obasanjo that first talked about the need for a national conference in this country. I remember I was in the university when it did that, and that was after the crisis in Benin Republic that that removed Matthew Kereku, and then they had they had a national conference and all that. So that was when we were talking about it, meaning that we've had this crisis of governance for a very long time.
Right.
Then that discussion devolved into the issue of restructuring and all that again. Then Abacha, of course, set up the Oputa panel and, the Truth Commission, so many things. All of these things were as a result of what was going on in the country. Then the talk by certain elements within the APC before, when the PDP was in power, for the period the PDP was in power, was a constant drive towards restructuring, fiscal, restructuring, and so many other things. State policing and all of these things. They were all part of it. Now that this has happened, and again, but I just want to say something.
Yes, quickly, please.
And that is the fact that the Attorney General is not in a position to declare Amotekun illegal. If there's a contestation between the federal government and the state government as this and state governments as this has happened, what you do is that you go to court. When the federal government had an issue over the withdrawal of local government funds from Lagos State, the matter was settled at the courts.
Right.
So he is not in a... Look, what he's doing is just to express an opinion. A lot of people do not know that when the Attorney General makes a statement such as this, he cannot give a judgment. He's making expression an opinion.
It's not a declaration of the law.
It cannot be. You understand? So it's just an opinion. But beyond that, the last thing I want to say is this. There is no way, because we've had discussions by some people, especially some of the governors, that the federal government was carried along somehow. I can tell you that there is no way. Some of them, I think I was listening to you earlier, Rotimi, when you alluded to the fact that even some of the people who are involved in this operation, Amotekun, are all members of the APC. There is no way they would have gone ahead, initiated such a move like this of such significance and importance in the entire region of the Southwest, without elements of the federal government.
He said it wasn't carried along. The AGF said it wasn't carried along.
That's what the AG says.
Exactly. There is no way they are not involved. I was in this studio when we were analyzing some time ago the Oni's visit to Asorok State House. It was about just shortly after the daughter of the Afenifere chieftain was killed. And what was the major discussion there? It was security in the Southwest. And there was a kind of agreement that the Southwest is going to come up with its own. They have their own ideas about how to go about security. So nobody, look, just like I said, it's an excuse. The AGF has just said something, but believe me, there's more to what is going on. Are you saying that, and it will be worrisome, if all these vehicles were being purchased, branded publicly, for months, the DSS was not aware of what was going on, the police was not aware of what was going on, so that they could, put in place preventive measures. Because it got to this level of actually embarrassing, the government of the Southwest. It's an embarrassment, if you put it that way. Maybe Cathy Blade has also used the word ego.
Urtimi, you like to add one or two things?
Yes, I mean, it's more than one or two things.
Let's make it one or two, Urtimi.
So, first of all, this exposes a crack in the federal government, because it's reasonably clear that the APC governors, Governor Fayemi in particular, who is the chair of the Governors Forum,
Progressive Governors Forum, yes,
would have consulted with the presidency, let them know what was going on. In fact, the Southwest governors themselves said they had informed the IG. I mean, politicians are not always truthful. Politicians are often economical.
The IG did not come?
Yes,
he didn't send a representative?
Hold on. Politicians are often economical with the truth, but I find it difficult that 5 governors will come together and say that they informed the IG when they did not. What I can perceive, and will wait for the facts to actually roll out, but my initial perception is that the hardliners in the federal government have projected into the future, called a kitchen cabinet, and said, this may be going in the wrong direction. If you allow it to stand, and the Southeast people, governors go and form theirs, and all the young boys in IPOB join, and the Northwest declare theirs and arm them to fight bandits, and so forth, will you have 5 regions with militias, some more armed than others, and when there is then tension, they can be activated. I think this is what the hardliners in the presidency of federal government have projected and said, okay, let us stop this right now. But they've gone about it the wrong way, because first they should have gone into consultation. I mean, from a strategic point of view of not increasing tension in the country, they could have picked up the phone, called Akeredolu, who is chair of the, and said, look, let's look at this again, let's recalibrate it, let's spin it in a way that, they could have found many ways around it from a strategic point of view. Instead, Malami has gone for a full head-on confrontation. And as I was saying during the paper review, it's a lose-lose situation. Malami may go ahead and say, if anybody parades themselves as Amotekun, the federal government will arrest. That escalates. If it goes all to the courts and ends up to the Supreme Court, during that period, there will be verbal, exchanges which will also ratchet up the tension. The legal route is the lesser loss for the federal government, even if they win the case. But there is something crucial that we need to underline.
We'll come to something crucial in a bit. Let's release the phone lines. We'd like to get this conversation in so people can get involved. Captain Ali, I will come to you after our first caller. If you want to be part of this conversation, here are the lines you can call. I can see all the messages on Facebook and WhatsApp already. Twitter is also buzzing out of control. But here are the lines you can call.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
Absolutely. Good morning to you.
Chief Quadry, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, my ambassador, good morning.
You have 30 seconds. Please go on ahead. Let's leave the pleasantries out of this. Let's just go ahead, please.
Okay, quick one. The governor of Osun State immediately resumed work. I saw him crying out to General Brutai to help. You are the chief security officer of the state, of Osun State. That's why they give you security votes. Now you guys come together to form this Amotekun. Then the Attorney General is trying to make things difficult. And for Captain Blaze, how come you retired so early, my brother?
Thank you for talking to us, Captain Blade. I'm going to start with you. You can attempt the question he asked, but let me put this to you. I've heard questions as to the federal government favoring the North more than other parts of the country because the question of Hisbah Corps has been raised in Kano State, being a security, paramilitary, if you want, security, let's put it that way, agency of the state government, and why the federal government is against Amotekun. But the other argument is that Hisbah Corps is for a state. The federal government has not raised any objection to states having their security outfit, have they?
No. Let me see. I personally do not see anything wrong in people evolving. It really takes some kind of mind to actually be in government and believe that the same publication in yesterday's paper will come out in toto today. Try any 2 days. No newspaper publishes the same thing page to page. What does that tell you? We are evolving. So much has evolved between the last copy of this paper and what it's publishing this morning, which they've captured in words. Next, I look at it like this. Would your dad have a house he built in 1960? And by 2020, you hold your head and walk around town when you know you need to refurbish your father's house and you haven't done that. This country needs to refurbish periodically because we are in a constant state of flux. If today somebody comes and says, you know what, we used to go to the barbers to do our hair, we want to turn our parlor to a salon, he's just helped my life. I don't think the federal government should feel antagonized or insecure by people, citizens who just want to take some pressure off you and secure themselves even more, because you know what I'm talking about. The only thing we agree with nationwide today in Nigeria, without any differences is fear. 5 big names: insurgency, militancy, banditry, cultism, and last but not the least, ritual killings. They're everywhere, spread it around the country. And people are now coming up to say, you know what? Let's come together and use our heads and do something that will complement what the federal government has. And we see the federal government becoming a bit antagonistic, a bit apprehensive. No, I don't think it should be the case.
Indeed. Let's go back to the phone lines. Hello, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Comrade Taiwo Addition. I'm calling from Baduraja.
Good to have you. Go on, please.
Yeah, thank you. One, I would like our speaker over there to tell me, to please explain to me, is there any difference between Amotekun and Loma, Lasma in Lagos, and Kai and Neighborhood Watch, and also Ogroman in Ogun State and some other, something like that, except from just making it a uniform within particular region? Is there any other difference? Why can't they declare all those ones as an illegal? That is one. And secondly, please, if anybody know how to talk to this federal government, they should please do something on security matter. This the idea we have been telling people before yesterday that I believe things will begin to change if Amotekun continue, they start the way they're planning. I can tell you specifically in my area, I could not sleep until around 3 o'clock. And simply because of what? All those hooligans just came to our office, to our shop, and started collecting money, Immediately a woman started, ole, and they start shooting guns. And the gun hit one of our people. And we begin to take it from one. Thank you for police station. They quickly respond in giving us a police report on it. And we take from one hospital to the other before we get to general hospital. The guy is still there, up here as I'm talking to you. So is it this will continue like that?
All right.
Some days ago,
All right. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. We're hoping that we could take more, but for lack of time, we need to quickly rush up and take some other thoughts. But thanks for calling. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Olomuyiwa, calling from Abuja.
Good to have you.
Okay, I want to just tell the federal government of Nigeria under the rulership of Malami that we, the Western, we fought for our governors to protect our lives and property. And this is just a democracy. People vote for their governors because they want to sleep at night and have peace. And for the fact that the governors pledge allegiance to the oath that they will protect our lives and property, there is nothing wrong in this Amotekun. In conclusion, I am even ready to join the Amotekun. Thank you.
Thank you, Olumiwa, for calling. Let's take a thought from Facebook. Igwe Victor on Facebook says, the only thing that destroys the country is injustice. If Hisba isn't illegal in the north, why should Amotekun become illegal in the west? Nigeria is sitting on the keg of gunpowder. The killing of the IPOB and Shiites are in the ICC under investigation. We are watching. Obiama C. Udo on Facebook says, state police is the best way to go. If well organized and managed. Obiama, thank you. He sent that in from Florida, USA. Thank you for joining us, Ajike. Let's delve more into the seeming bias of the federal government. In this case, Captain Blade explained part of it earlier, but I want us to look at it this way. Now that the government has said that Operation Amotekun, the regional security outfit, is illegal, is it a possibility? Should the governors right now, be looking inward to say, okay, let's split this up. We can still have a network, but to avoid confrontation, let's split this up. Let these people operate individually, statewide. It is still going to be perhaps the same name. Is that a way to go? I'm just looking at amicable way to resolve this because it's looking like we have a big collision ahead of us.
I think Rotimi gave an idea about what he felt the response of the government should be. Of course, obviously it was not. And Captain Blade here has talked about a society that is always in constant move, evolution. The only thing that is permanent, Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher, would tell us is change. Now, the last person, that called you used one word that was playing in my mind: injustice. And that is also related to what you used, or the expression used, seeming bias. And that brings me back to an event I attended on behalf of the Justice, Development and Peace Commission Center, JDPC. It was organized by the Office of the National Security Advisor, the NSA. It happened in Lagos here. And they invited people from the armed forces, security forces, paramilitary, prisons, police, and all of that. And then some civil society organizations. I represented my organization with the director of the JDPC. And what they were trying to do, according to them, then was to do a simulation of a possible threat, to Lagos State in terms of terrorist, threat and where it is likely going to take place, what the response of Nigerians and Lagosians should be.
Right.
But at the end of the day, in summary, the person representing, I can't remember his name now, the Office of National Security Advisor, said that most of the crises that we have in this country, like Captain Blade has enumerated, the acts of terrorism,
banditry, terrorism,
all of that, that they are all traceable to one word: injustice. So where you have injustice in a particular place, you are bound to have all kinds of socio-political contradictions as a result of that. These are the consequences of an unjust situation. When people feel that they no longer belong, when people feel that even those that are in power have a particular kind of agenda in terms of governance. And this is where the government should come in. Now, for instance, people are beginning to talk about Hisbah. I was reading Adebanjo, and he talked about Hisbah. He talked about other security outfits, the JTF and others in parts of the north. And the question you're asking is, why are some of these things legal in those places? Why in a place, for instance, like, the Southwest now, it is not? Of course, we all knew about the role that Bakassi Boys played at the time. All of these things, I want to believe, had the critical input of the Nigerian police force involved. And I think Rotimi talked about the fact that, which you said he did not turn up, that the IG was informed. The fact that the IG did not come means that the IG was actually informed. He did not come, he did not send a delegation. So this is something that was not done in secret. So the way I look at it, we have to begin to look at Nigeria as a whole, the Nigerian people as a whole, because this thing goes deeper. Apart from those who are talking about restructuring, when issues of injustice come to the manifest to the fore, the way they are in this country, people begin to look at ways to take care of themselves. If they cannot be protected at the center, then they had better protect themselves in other ways. You look at the entire security architecture of this country, and we cannot stop talking about it. These are the things that breed fear among people from the various geopolitical zones in this country, concentrated in the hands of a few people. We know what happened, when we had problems in Yugoslavia. The Serbian army was concentrated almost 90% in the hands of the Serbs. By the time the country broke, went into war, they had the superior, ability in that war. We do not want that kind of situation. We want to say that this country belongs to every single person and that we all have a stake.
Indeed. Indeed. Let me take a few calls. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning to your guests in the studio.
Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Please. My name is Akin, calling from Kenaland as right now.
Go on, Akin.
Under which law is Amotekun operating? We know LASMA, even Trace, where we are in Ogun State, have law guiding them. But under which law, state law or regional law, is Amotekun being operated upon? Hisbah is inside the Sharia constitution, which has not been put into place by now. I'm a Southwesterner. Our leaders should do what is right. The first thing should be done.
Okay.
Which law is being used to guide this people?
It must be backed by law.
That is it. Which law? Your guest should tell me which law is guiding these people. Thank you, sir, and God bless you.
Thank you, Akin, for calling. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello.
Yes, good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Abubakar. I'm calling from Rebadu Road.
Good to have you.
Lagos, yes. The last speaker, not the gentleman that just spoke now about his birth, and the other speaker there with you. He made a mention that about bias or Hisbah and all this. Hisbah is only, they don't go patrolling street on looking for thieves or protection. They only go to nightclubs and prostitution. So please, you should understand the human rights gentleman there now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
And he is there. Saliu should know better. He knows.
Thank you for calling. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
My name is James.
James, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Becca.
Go on, James. Go on.
Okay, quickly. My own is, there is this dynamic disconnect that we have in Nigeria. What actually stops these governors from speaking with the Attorney General or the government before now? Why doing it without their knowledge? Then again, to second on what the second to the last caller called, under which law are they operating from? The idea is good. The manner in which they are going about it in setting it up, I think is wrong. They should stop mentioning the Hisba and Co.
Right.
Was the FG informed properly? Was the Attorney General carried along in the first place? I think it was just wrong doing it without their knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, James, for calling. Rotimi, the best way to resolve this quickly.
Well, the best way to resolve it should have been for the AG to call the Southwest governors without making a public declaration and then walk around it. It's left for the Southwest governors. Well, it would have reduced the tension. It's left for the Southwest governors to tell us under what umbrella of legality that they set it up. I mean, we'll try and address this during Public Square on Friday at 4 p.m. But it is important for everyone to note this Malami's attitude will divert from critical issues. One is that the main cause of the insecurity is underdevelopment and inequality. Unless those things are dealt with, the insecurity is going to go up. Now, nobody is even talking about the appropriateness or the wise of state police in underdeveloped states in the hand of a political party or the other. Now is a question of Southwest versus federal government. And it has one big implication, which I was going to point out earlier, which is that if Malami leads the federal government down the wrong path of a crackdown by saying that only the federal government has the authority to form army, navy, or air force, by which he's hinting that if the Southwest is thinking of secession, they will not allow an Oduduwa Republic to have a militia. If they crack down, all Malami is going to do is to accelerate that timeline.
Right.
Because people will then say, well, you see now, they're attacking us. So we have to, the secondary implication is the federal government has to be careful because there are people in the Southwest that will raise the economic stakes. They are talking about it on the ground. It will come into the open sooner or later. Fiscal federalism. They will just stand up and say, excuse me, the most of the VAT comes from Lagos. And over 50% comes from the Southwest.
Please join Rotimi on Friday on Public Square. Captain, your last word, please, before we go.
Well, basically, I think the age of regional security initiatives is upon us. And it's not by any other reason but the federal government's doing. If people cannot look confidently up to that which you have in place, then they will have to look elsewhere to form that which will protect them.
Thank you, Captain Blade. I should get you there. Your last word before we go.
Yeah, well, again, we are faced with the prospect of a failing state or a failed state. And of course, we have the indices of what a failed state or a failing state is. When you have part of it is when you have so many other people, organizations, groups, and so on under arms. And when the federal government no longer has monopoly over the means of violence or means of coercion, then we have a problem. Yes, then we have a problem. So the government must begin to sit down. And then we need to also have what you call elite bargaining. Those people in charge of this country, one word, they are from across the regions of this country, must be able to sit down with a sense of patriotism and a sense of, wanting to do the right thing for everybody.
Achikechude, thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Crossfire this morning. Captain Aliyu Blade, thank you for coming around. And Rotimi Sankori, always a pleasure. Public Square is for Friday, 4 p.m. Please join Rotimi Sankori. Detailed discussion will happen on Amotekun on Friday at 4 p.m. on Public Square. Many thanks to the team. I am Sheriff Quadry. Headline news starts at the top of the hour. And then Tuji Andrews will be in the studio for Money, Business and Economy Show. Do you have a fantastic day? Bye for now.
More talk, news and sports after this.